Okay, friends, we will continue with Kaizen costing. So we have seen the principle behind Kaizen costing. Now we need to do a small case study on Kaizen costing. Okay, so you can take question number. Yeah, question number 3.2 in page 6. You can read the question. Okay, so we will read the question once again. M India Limited (MIL) is an automobile manufacturer in India and a subsidiary of Japanese automobile and motorcycle manufacturer Leon. Okay, so the name of the company is MIL. And what is this MIL? MIL is a automobile manufacturer in India and it is subsidiary of Japanese company Leon. And this Japanese company is also doing the same activity, that is manufacturing of automobile and other this one. And what does this MIL do? It is manufacturing and selling complete range of cars. Complete range of cars starting from sedan to hatchback. So hatchback is entry level, then sedan. So complete range of cars, and it has got a market share of 22% of Indian passenger car market. Passenger car market. Okay. Then going further, MIL uses system of standard costing to set its budget. So they are following the system standard costing for setting the budgets. Okay. Then how does it prepare the budgets? Budgets are prepared semi-annually by the finance department after the approval of the board of directors at MIL. So budget is prepared by finance and approval from board of directors. Okay. The finance department prepares variance reports each month for review in the board of directors meeting where actual performance is compared with the budgeted figures. So they are also doing what? Variance analysis. Variance analysis. Going further, Mr. Suski, Group CEO of the Leon, is of the opinion that Kaizen costing method should be implemented as a system of planning and control in MIL. Required to recommend the key changes vital to MI's planning and control system to support the adoption of Kaizen costing concept. So what is given here is you have certain information regarding a company which is into manufacturing and selling of automobile cars of all range, and this company currently has 22% of the Indian passenger car market. Okay, so that is the information that is made available. Now, the group CEO wants to implement Kaizen costing. Okay, and you are required to suggest the changes that the company has to implement if they want to go for Kaizen costing. Okay, so from the given information, you need to find which all areas or which all are the existing practices that the company will have to change once they adopt or once they proposes to adopt the Kaizen costing. Okay, so for that you need to understand what are the features of Kaizen costing which this company ought to have followed and which the company are not following. Okay, so when you answer such a question, of course, first we will have to give a small introduction about the Kaizen costing, like what is the Kaizen costing and all. But before that, you can start with the proposal, facts of the case. First, we will write the facts. What is the name of the company? MIL, Automobile Manufacturer, proposes to manufacture, proposes to introduce Kaizen costing. Okay, then requirement. What is the requirement? Suggestions on changes to be brought in the current practices followed by MIL. Followed by MIL in order to implement Kaizen costing. Okay, that is the requirement. Okay, now we have to give meaning of Kaizen costing. What do you mean by Kaizen costing? Kaizen costing. What is the meaning of Kaizen costing? We have already seen. It is a system where what is the main focus of Kaizen costing? Kaizen costing focuses on continuous improvement. Okay, it is a system for reducing the cost of an entity. It focuses on continuous small and incremental improvements in cost which are applied consistently which are applied continuously or consistently. Applied continuously. Okay, so that is a small introduction about the Kaizen costing. Now what you have to do, you have to analyze and find out which are the changes that the company has to bring in. Analysis. Okay, which are the area where you think that the company will have to make changes before they introduce Kaizen costing. Okay, now presently they have given that the company follows standard costing system. Standard costing system. Am I right? Okay. Now, what is the standard costing system, or what do you do in standard costing system? In standard costing system, you are fixing certain standard cost, okay, or revenues based on which a comprehensive periodical budget is prepared. Then this budget becomes the benchmark of performance, and at the end of each period the actual figures, maybe revenue or cost, are compared with the budgeted figures, and the difference otherwise known as variance, is properly analyzed. Okay, and this process is what is known as variance analysis. Variance analysis. Okay, am I right? So there is some benchmark or some standard rates which is used to prepare the budget, and this budget act as the standard or the benchmark for the operations. And at the end of one particular period, the entity, what they do, the entity compares the budgeted data with the actual data, and wherever there is difference between the budgeted data and the actual data, they do the difference reconciliation known as variance analysis. And if there is no variance between the budgeted data and the actual data, the company or the team is considered to be the best team. Am I right? So, in the case of a standard costing, the entire focus is to follow the budget. Okay, that is the entire focus. Every department is required to follow the budget. They are not permitted to exceed the budget in case of cost, or reduce or go down from the budget in the case of revenues. Okay, so that is the only motive. If they have not exceeded the budgeted cost, or if they have not come short of the budgeted revenue, then that particular entity or particular department or that particular person is considered to be best performing department or entity. Okay, so that is the concept behind standard costing. But while we come to the Kaizen costing, Kaizen costing does not require or does not advocate such a policy. What does Kaizen say? Kaizen says that you have to keep on making continuous improvements to the cost. It's not just sufficient that you have a benchmark or a standard and you keep your cost levels according to that particular budget or the standard. No, that is not the principle behind Kaizen. Kaizen says if you have if your cost for the previous month was this much, this month your cost has to be lower. You have to consciously reduce or improve your cost. Whereas in the case of standard costing, it may not be so. Because last month, if your cost was say 5 lakhs rupees, this month maybe there could be an increase in the budget also. When you prepare the budget, you may plan for a 10% increase in the cost or 5% increase in the cost. So it is in the standard costing, increase in the cost becomes a accepted norm. Whereas that is not the case in Kaizen costing. Okay, in Kaizen, whatever be the scenario, there should be cost improvements. Cost has to be improved. You need to improve your efficiency, effectiveness, your processes, systems and everything and find out reduction in cost. Is it clear? Okay. So the first change that it has to do is shift from one. Shift from cost control to cost reduction. Okay, cost control to cost reduction. Okay, now I'm not going to dictate the entire answer here because it is there in the material. Okay, and this is only a conceptual oriented question. So I will explain the answer here, and based on that you have the material, you can copy down your answer later. Okay, so shift from cost control to cost reduction. Now, what is cost control? Cost control is what is followed in standard costing. Okay, entities required to follow the cost as per budget. Okay, but in the case of cost reduction, which is followed in Kaizen costing, improvement in cost. Improvement in cost is mandatory. Okay, so whatever be the case, cost has to be reduced by improving the cost drivers, etc. Okay, therefore what happens? Standard costing loses its significance. Once you implement what the Kaizen costing, then standard costing itself loses its importance or significance. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing, okay, in the question they say that the periodicity of preparing the budget is semi-annually. Okay, so the analysis is done semi-annually, which means any change between that particular period, that means from the closure of the last half year and till the closure of next half year, it is not considered. We are considering only for a half year together. Okay, in what? In standard costing. In standard costing. But when we come to Kaizen costing, the analysis should be done more frequently. That is, when you say more frequently, it could be weekly or bi-weekly, etc. It cannot exceed more than a month. Okay, and this is to be followed in Kaizen. Why this is important in Kaizen? Why can't you follow a period of let us say half month in Kaizen? Because the ultimate aim of Kaizen is to make continuous incremental small changes or improvements in the cost. So the more you plan for it, the more you achieve it. So you prepare a budget, you prepare a benchmark of Kaizen costing or cost improvement for a week. Then once that week is over, you go for another week with a revised budget. Okay, like that in Kaizen costing you have small periods over which you need to keep on making improvements to the cost. Okay, so that is the second point, that is reduction in the periodicity of setting standards and variance analysis. Okay, reduce the periodicity of setting standards and performing variance analysis. Then going one step ahead, what is the next point? Okay, Now, if you see the question, you can see that the budget is prepared by whom? The finance department. And who approves the budget? Budget is approved by the board of directors. And similarly, when the variance is done, what happens is there is no participation from the workers or the executives. It is purely a exercise done by the finance department and approved by the board. Okay. So you can write third point. Budget or standards. Set by finance department, approved by board of directors. Am I right? Yes. So that means the involvement or participation of employees or executives are not seen. So what happens here? If you want to implement Kaizen costing, just the involvement of top management or finance department is not sufficient. Each and every person or stakeholder in the entity has to adapt himself to the concept of Kaizen costing. Okay. So Kaizen costing involvement of every person associated with the entity is must. Involvement of every person is must. Okay. So what you have to do is you can near preparation of budget by a firm and its approval by is not sufficient. Is not sufficient. Okay, so participation of executives and workers in standard setting is another major change that the company has to bring in. Okay, so this is all about the Kaizen costing and this case study. These are the three major changes that the company has to make in order to implement the Kaizen costing. Okay, now it's time for us to move to the next topic. That is, you can write the heading 5S model. 5S model. Okay. What do you mean by 5S model? Again, it is a Japanese model. Now, what is this model? Okay. Now, 5S model is a model that is adopted for organizing workspace. Organizing workspace. Let me give an example. An example which may be there in almost all the CA offices. You take the case of a CA office. Okay. Now you are entering into a CA office. When you enter into the CA office, you are going to your room. You are seeing that your place is filled with a lot of files, papers, and everything is put in haphazard manner. It is not organized. Okay, there are some files here and there, some papers, loose papers here and there, pens, everything. It is a total mess. Your working space. Okay. Do you think that you will be able to work in such an environment with maximum efficiency and effectiveness? Not possible. Okay, it is not possible. So, if you want to get your maximum efficiency and effectiveness, the workplace where you are working, whether it is SEA office or whether it is a factory or whether it is any other office or service entity, the workplace where human beings are working should be organized. Is it clear? So that organizing the workspace in a systematic manner is what is given by this 5S model. Okay, so this is a Japanese model for organizing the workspace. How to organize? By identifying and removing the clutters. Clutters refers to all unwanted things that are there on the desk. Okay, now what is the objective? Okay. Objective. Why do you want to identify and remove these clutters from a workplace? Objective will be to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of persons working in such place. Working in such place. Okay. Then what all things have to be done? Okay. Major aspects of workplace management. Maybe this is the answer to the question. How? Okay. We can write 1. Identify store the items used. Okay. Then 2. Maintain the workplace area. Workplace area and items in the proper manner. So whatever you use, whether it is files or any your desktop computer, whatever be the thing, it has to be maintained the workplace area as well as the items in a proper manner. And the third aspect is sustain. In other words, continue this new order. Okay, this is all about 5S model. Now, what does this 5S stand for? Okay. Or before that, you can write features of 5S model. And that 1. 5S focuses on organizing the workplace in a systematic manner. Okay, then what we have to do? Remove the items which no longer required. Then what else? Organize the items. Items to optimize. Items to optimize the efficiency and flow. Okay, you need to organize everything in an order. That's so that you don't have to have any confusion to search any document or paper or any product, whatever. So efficiency and the flow have to be optimized. Then clean the area. Clean the area so that helps to identify the problems better. Identify the problems better. Next, implement standard procedure such as color coding, then labeling, etc. Okay, then that is implementing the standard procedures. Then you have one more thing. Develop this behavior. So keep the workplace organized. Workplace organized. Okay. Now you can see 5S model stands for what? You need to know what are these 5S's. Okay. These are some Japanese terminologies which you will have to by heart. And the corresponding English meaning also be included. Okay. First S stands for Siri. SEIRI. Siri. Which corresponds to the English meaning of SORT. Sort. Okay. So what you do in Siri or sort? Siri or sort is nothing but removing the items no longer required and identifying the items required. That is Siri or sort. Then next S stands with Seiton. 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 Or in other words, it is known as set or straighten. Okay, so you have removed the items which are not required. Then you have identified the required items. Then what do you have to do? You need to arrange all these required items in an order. Okay. Organize the required items in an order. See, you just need to think what you are going to do if you find your room total mess. You need to arrange it. You need to first segregate what all things are required, what all things are not required, and what all things not required. You need to keep it in the dustbin. Okay, and whatever is required, that only will be left in the room. Am I right? So that is the first one, sort or Siri. Okay, so this prevents accumulation of unnecessary items. Prevent unnecessary items. Okay. Then secondly, sit on or set or straighten. What you are doing here is you are organizing the required items in a particular order so that efficiency is increased. Okay. So how you can increase the efficiency? Okay. All the items required will be readily available. Readily available and can be put to work easily. Put to work easily. Okay. Next is CISO. SEISO. CISO is nothing but sweep or shine. Okay, you are cleaning. This is nothing but cleaning the workspace on a regular basis. Say daily or whatever be the frequency, it has to be cleaned and set fixed frequency for cleaning. Okay. So that is CISO. Next is SEIKETSU. SEITSU, which is known as standardize. Okay, please be careful about its spelling. SEIKETSU. SEITSU. It is pronounced as SEITSU, and its meaning is standardize. So what do you mean by standardize? You will have to follow the best practices in the work area and make those practices a standard. Okay, follow the best practices and make such practices as a standard. So this will help you to keep high standards and orderliness. Okay. So this philosophy says that you need to have a standard for all activities. Okay. Now last, you have standardized the entire procedures to be followed. Now just because you have implemented it once, that is not sufficient. You have to sustain it. You have to continue it. So last one is sustain or Shitsuk. SHITSUKE. And the English meaning is sustain. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to continue practicing the best practices. Without fail. Okay. And how can you do that? You will have to provide necessary training and discipline. Okay. So this is a strategy of do without being told. Okay. It is the model for excellence. Okay. So you provide necessary training and also discipline in which that order is sustained. Okay. So these are the five S's in this model, 5S model. One is sort series, in which you are selecting the entire items, you are taking the entire items one by one, and you are segregating whichever is required items and whichever be the items that are not required. Items that are not required will be just thrashed out, and items which are required will be kept. Okay. Then moving to the next S, that is set on, set or straighten. That means whatever items we have identified as useful items, it has to be kept in an organized manner. So organize the required items in a order. Okay. So that what is the benefit? You can identify the items faster. It will help you to increase the efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. Next is CISO or sweep. You need to clean your workspace periodically or regularly, and you need to set a prefixed frequency for the cleaning. Next is Seitsu or standardize. Standardize means you, for every process within your entity, you need to have a standard which you need to follow. So standardize and follow that standard. Okay, and the last one is, just because we have done all the previous steps just once, that is not sufficient. You need to sustain it. So that is Chitsu, where you are required to sustain the best practices and give adequate training as well as discipline, so that the philosophy will be to do without being told. Okay, so that is 5S. Now we need to move to this case study 3.3 on 5S model. Okay, you can take question number 3.3. Read the question once again. Okay. So it's a very small question. Read it once again. Y&E Chartered Accountants offers a wide range of specialized multidisciplinary professional services that meet the immediate as well as the long-term business needs of the clients. One of the partner, he was upset with the office documentation. Okay, office documentation, something which is related with the workspace. Now, he argued that a document management solution is needed to maximize the efficiency within the firm. The senior partner, Y, has recently attended a seminar on Lean System and heard the 5S. He said that the all files hide the key files from the I and forces staff to ask which to use. Okay. He said that all files hide the key files from the I and forces the staff to ask which to use. Accordingly, he decides to implement the 5S. Then required advise the implementation of 5S in Y and D. Okay. What is given here? It's a very straightforward question. Okay. There is a company, CFM, Y and E. Okay. And what are you supposed to do in Y and E? It is delivering a lot of works, multidisciplinary services. Multidisciplinary services. Now, one of the partners is not happy with the office documentation. Office documentation. And on the other, so he wants to improve on it. So one other partner, the senior partner, has already heard about 5S, which he wants to implement. So advise him. Okay. So you write requirement, before that facts, Y and D. Chartered accountants firm is worried about is worried about what? He is worried about the lack of proper order in the documentation in the office. Okay, so the proposal is to implement 5S within the firm. Okay, now what is next? Objective. What is the objective of implementing this 5S? It is to remove the clutter. Remove the clutter in the workspace and be organized. Be organized, which will naturally help the entity or the CA firm to be more and the personnel there and to be more efficient and effective. Efficient and effective. Okay, so that is the objective. Now, what are you supposed to suggest on this? You are supposed to suggest on the methods to be followed, right? Okay. So, advise on the implementation. Okay, you can write the concept of 5S essentially focuses on 5 activities. 5 activities to be done in the workplace. Okay, which are they? We will be writing one by one. We have already seen. So first is sort or series. Okay, in which what the firm has to do. I think the connection has gone. 1 minute. Okay. Sort or survey. In sort or survey, what you do? You are segregating all files into wanted files and unwanted files. Okay. And not only files, you have to do all purpose, then books, documentation, then furnishings, everything in your workplace. Okay. So that is sorting or series. Now, once we have sorted and we have identified whatever is required and whatever is not required, what you have to do with whatever is not required, you will have to remove it. Okay, you don't have to keep those items again. So you can remove those unwanted items, and then for the items which is required, what you have to do? You have to have a proper order. So set in order. Set in order, otherwise known as set on. Okay, so for the items required, identified as useful. Useful, set an order. Set on order. Okay, so when you set an order, in the case of documents and files, the best way to set an order would be to index it. Okay, so you have to suggest that also. Indexation of files, books and documentation. Either how to do the indexation, either physically or electronically. Okay, so basically this is to set an order for the things. Okay, then once you have set an order, then what you have to do? You will have to be move to the next one, that is shine. Okay, or seesaw. This is focus on having a regular cleaning of the workspace. Okay, so it is to ensure that once you have set an order for the things, this order has to be followed and the places have to be kept neat and clean. Workplace, I'm writing here, neat and clean. Okay, now after that what you have to do? You have to standardize the entire office processes. Okay, office processes have to be standardized. Okay, and needs to be examined for quality. For quality. Okay, now how to identify the best practices? Identification of best practices. It can be identified for a CA firm. Comparison with other firms. You can compare with the other firms and you can obtain or you can identify which are the best this one, or follow the regulatory requirements or guidelines. Like Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has come out with certain regulations, like guidelines on documentation part. Okay, you can follow that. Is it clear? So all these things, things are to keep the everything in order and also thereby increase the efficiency and effectiveness. And one more suggestion you can give us: labeling of files, folders, etc. based on important and frequency of use. Okay, Label can be done based on different colors, right? Most important, you will flag it in red. Then most frequently used, you flag it with green, and less frequently used, you can make it yellow. And you can use various other flags which will help you to identify and organize the files in a proper manner. Okay. And last, one more you have, what is that? Once you have standardized it, you need to follow or sustain it, continue it, and that is Shitsuk. Sustain. Oh, okay. Where you need to have a control over the workspace in future. Okay. Ensure that the best practices one set are followed without any doubts. Okay. The standards set are followed without failure. Okay, right. So this is how you implement the 5S model in the case of a CF1. Okay, right. Now, so that case study is over. Now you can move to the next lecture. You can write the heading. Total preventive maintenance. It's not protective, preventive maintenance. Okay. Now next topic, total preventive maintenance, or it is also known as total protective maintenance. In institute material, they have used the word protective maintenance. That's what I checked now. So you can also use the same terminology, TPM. Okay, total protective maintenance. Okay. Now, what is the concept behind TPM or total protective maintenance? Concept behind TPM or total protective maintenance. Okay, please listen. Let us take the case of a factory. Let us take the case of A Limited, and A Limited is having a factory in Kerala. Okay, and this factory has let us say numerous machines which are used for producing variety of products. Variety of products. Okay, now sometimes out of these numerous machines the company is having, certain machines may break down. Am I right? There may be breakdown issues or failures, etc. And not only that, these machineries requires what also? Product maintenance also. Okay, so there could be issues with respect to breaking down, unexpected breaking down or failures, which needs to be addressed, and also it needs to have a periodical maintenance, like every year or every month or every quarter, half year, whatever be the periodicity, depending upon the type of the machine, there should be periodical maintenance for the machines. Generally, what used to be this periodical maintenance as well as this unexpected handling of unexpected breakdown, it was done or handled by separate set of people or personnel, and they were known as the maintenance team. Now, even now in many of the companies, this is the practice what is being followed. Okay, where the machines are complex, there will be a separate department, maintenance department. You take the case of KSRTC. KSRTC has got a separate wing for doing the maintenance. Okay, now that is the standard in many countries. But what this TPM or Total Productive Maintenance says that having such a separate team for handling maintenance work is not good. Okay, this is not good. They say that whoever is operating the machine, operator of the machine, should be able to handle the issues relating to breakdown, then periodical maintenance, etc. Periodical maintenance, etc. So, what is the advantage? What is the advantage? Now, disadvantage, of course, we know. What could be the disadvantage? The disadvantage is whenever there is a major breakdown, okay, the expertise of the regular operator, the expertise of a regular operator may not be sufficient. Am I right? May not be sufficient. So, if he is trying to repair or maintain these machines, complex machines, that may not work out always. That is the disadvantage of having a TPM or the operators itself doing this maintenance. Okay, but as per this method or this strategy, the advantage of having such a facility is that the operators who are operating these machines will be fully equipped to operate the machine plus handle the issues. So they will become more responsible. More responsible. Okay, they know how to handle these situations. So what is the advantage? They will know to operate the machines in a better manner. Okay, operate the machines in a better manner. Also, it is very cost effective. How cost effective? Naturally, if the operator and the maintenance team if they are different, the moment the machine shows some problems, what the operator will do? The operator will immediately shut down the machine and will call the maintenance team. Okay. So till the maintenance team comes and attend this particular complaint and resolves it, who will be free? The person, the operator will be having an idle time. Okay. Sometimes what will happen? The complaint will be very minor, which can be easily rectified by a person having a very limited knowledge in the functioning of the machine. So even for such minor complaints, there will be a serious idle time and a laying off for the machines. Okay, which will affect the entire factory. When one machine is having some troubles, due to which the entire operations of the factory is affected, it is going to affect the entire production cycle. Is it clear? So, if the operator himself can handle the issues with related to minor complaints and breakdown, then maintenance, etc., that will help the entity to avoid such instances. The moment an machine finds some faults, the operator will be able to detect those problems and correct or rectify it at the same manner. It is the what do you call the maintenance team comes and does the repair. Okay, only when it is a very serious disorder or a defect which cannot be handled by the operator need to call the maintenance team. Okay, so this will ensure smooth functioning of the machines as well as the factory. Okay, so let's see what is the concept, what's the features of this particular policy or the method. Okay, now traditional maintenance approach versus total productive maintenance approach. Okay, in the traditional maintenance approach, what's happening is only the maintenance team is involved, right? Okay. So for that there will be a separate division of labor between operators and maintenance staff. Okay. Then operators were not at all involved in the maintenance process. Okay. Due to which what happened was when there are no compliance or maintenance, what will happen? The maintenance staff will be idle. Maintenance staff will be idle. Similarly, when there are maintenance works or repairing, what will happen to the operator? The operator will be idle. Operator will be idle. Okay. So sometimes the operating staff will be idle, or sometimes the maintenance staff will be idle. So there is laws of labor. Okay. Now once you come to TPM, what is the difference? Okay. It is a modern approach. Modern approach in which no separate maintenance team or less number of staff in maintenance team. Okay. Sometimes there won't be a maintenance team at all if the machines are not too complicated. Sometimes if the machines are too complicated that the operators cannot equip themselves with the entire functioning of the machines, then what they will do? They will have some limited number of maintenance staff. That's all. Okay. So majority of the maintenance as well as the repairs and all, everything will be done by the operator itself. Only when it is very serious that they cannot handle, they will call the maintenance staff. Okay. Now here what happens is the operator will be sufficiently trained to handle what? Handle the breakdown plus periodical maintenance. Okay. Now the main advantage of this particular policy is that the operators will be the early detectors of defects. Okay. And what they can do? They can prevent the defect affecting the operation of the machine. How can they prevent? They can do necessary maintenance. It's like owning a car and knowing how to repair it. Okay. If you know how to repair the car, basic things, even before the car gets into a big trouble, you will be able to identify, yes, this is the problem that is going to happen with my car. So I can do, if I do this, then I will be safe. Otherwise, if you don't have any idea about this repairing works or whatever operations are happening with inside the car, what will happen? You will not understand the problem unless it is reaching into a standstill position or breaks down. So when it breaks down, there is complete disruption of everything, and the third party will have to come to help you also. Okay. So if the operators of machines are equipped with support training and sufficient education on repairing and maintaining the machines, that will help the organization to prevent unwanted breakdown of the machines and also to reduce costs in terms of having a well-equipped maintenance department, one. Second, having idle time in case of maintenance staff as well as the operator staff whenever there is no work. So many things will be helpful. Okay. So you can also write operators will be made accountable for the performance of the machines. Okay. Also, operators will become confident. How confident? Confident about the reliability of the machines. The example I told earlier, if you are a driver and you are having a car, if you know the repairs and you are able to judge the car and the symptoms the car is showing, then you will become even more confident that you know, okay, my car is in a perfect condition, so that I don't have to worry about its performance. I can simply take it wherever I want. That is the confidence we are getting. Similar thing will come in case of a factory or a machinery where the operator himself knows how to detect the problems. Then that will be easy for him to, or that will give him an added confidence to over the reliability of the machine. Okay, so why this principle is required? This principle focuses on zero wastage. Okay, how zero wastage? Zero wastage by zero accidents, then zero defects, and zero breakdown. Zero breakdown. Clear? Okay. Now you can write the next wording. Stages in TPM. Stages in TPM. Okay. The first stage is stage number one is preparation stage. Preparation stage. Okay. What do you do in the preparation stage? In preparation stage, we are preparing a suitable environment for the maintenance. Okay. Maintenance. How you can prepare that suitable environment? By providing training and creating awareness. Creating awareness. Okay. Now that is in the preparation stage. Then the next stage is introduction stage. Okay. So what do you do in introduction stage? In introduction stage, you are initializing the TPM. Initializing TPM. You are starting with the maintenance work. Okay. How you do this initialization? You inform the suppliers, then your customers, then authorities, okay, other departments, etc. that you are going to have a TPM, productive maintenance, which and there will be some sort of disruptions in between. Okay, that is the introduction. Okay. Now moving further, third stage is implementation stage. Where you actually implement TPM. Okay. How you implement? Implement TPM. How? You have something called using 8 pillars. 8 pillars of TPM. Okay. So implement TPM using 8 pillars. What do you mean by this 8 pillars? We will see later. Then you have something called last step, institutionalizing speech. Merely by conducting this TPM once, that is not sufficient. You need to make TPM a habit or a part of your culture. Your culture. Okay. Now how you can do it? You need to have definite policy. Okay, for TPM. and you should also work for getting recognition, awards, etc. on TPM. Okay, this is the last step. You are making TPM a part of your culture. So that everybody knows from the initial or inception onwards, everybody knows that you need to be very careful about the maintenance of the machine. You need to know how to maintain the machine, and this is part and parcel of the organizational culture. Okay, right. So these are the steps. Now you have a short topic which is known as 8 pillars of TPM. There is nothing much to explain in this basically. So you have a table. I will just go through the table what is given in the material. Okay. Yes. This is the table. You can take page number 10. Okay. Yeah. First one, pillar number 1. It is known as autonomous maintenance. Autonomous maintenance. Okay. And what is happening here? Operation of equipment without any breakdown and eliminating defects through active employee participation. So that is the objective. Okay. You want to involve the employees actively and ensure that there is no breakdown and there is complete elimination of defects. Okay, that is autonomous maintenance. The maintenance itself happens on a continuous basis. Okay, there is nothing called, okay, this is the time when I need to do the repair and maintenance, so you come do the maintenance. Nothing of that. This is becoming a continuous process. Okay, so that the equipments are operated without any breakdown and the products are produced without any defects. Okay, and for which there is active employee participation. Now, how it can be done? It can be done by proper cleaning, then lubrication, then visual inspection, tightening, loosening bolts, etc. So you are doing it on a regular basis. You are applying the, you are cleaning it, then you are lubricating. Everything is done properly in time with the help of the what do you call it? The help of the employees. Okay. Now that is pillar number 1. Then pillar number 2. What is that? Focused improvement. In other words, it is the Kaizen. Okay. Now what's happening here is you are looking for having minor improvements made on continuous basis. That is what Kaizen says. Am I right? You need to make some or the other small changes every now and then on a continuous basis. Every time you need to make some small changes. How can you do that? You are having a Kaizen register, then Kaizen summary sheets, then why this is so, and summary of losses. So you are trying to improve the performance of the machine every time. Okay, so you try to have some sort of what do you say, a healthy environment. Cleaning is done promptly. Then you are applying the oils, lubricants. Everything is done on a continuous basis, so that there is nothing which is left out, and you are trying to improve every time. Okay, marginally. And next is pillar number 3, planned maintenance. Okay, the first one was autonomous maintenance, which happens on a regular basis. Then second one is focused improvement or Kaizen. That is also somewhat similar to the first part. But the objective of the second part is to do the maintenance with an intentions to improve, not to prevent the defects. In the first autonomous maintenance, it is to prevent any defects or breakdown. Whereas in the second one, it is to improve the machine's performance. Okay, you need to improve it slightly. You improve. Okay, right. Next, planned maintenance. Okay, what is that? It is a proper maintenance system adopted for the improvement in the reliability and maintainability of the equipment. Okay, just because you have this continuous maintenance by the operators, that is not sufficient. Sometimes on a periodical basis you will have to have a planned maintenance. Okay, year end, you have earmarked for maintenance of all the machines. Okay, where everything is inspected, everything is checked, and you ensure that there are no faults, nothing is there. And this will be done by an expert team with the help of the operators. Okay, that is planned maintenance. Okay, then preventive maintenance, breakdown maintenance, corrective maintenance, everything will come here. Then early management. What is this? Shortening the time required for product and equipment development. Okay, now what's happening here is if you are finding any defects, the time taken from finding the defects and correcting the defect is has to be shortened. Shorten the time duration of disruption and early management. Okay, now how can it be done? It can be done through engineering and re-engineering processes. Okay, next going further, next is quality maintenance, where you need to achieve the customer satisfaction through the delivery of the highest quality product. Then how you can do that? You need to do the root cause analysis. We have already seen what you mean by root cause analysis. Then customer data analysis. You analyze the customer informations and you find out what they require or what they expect from your company and try to deliver that. Okay, that is quality maintenance. Then next is education and training. That is the pillar number 6. You need to improve the knowledge and enhance the morale of the employees, because employees are what, or operators are what they are going to do this maintenance and all. So they need to have a proper education. Okay, so you need to have a training system, training calendar, policies for education training, on-site training, etc. etc. Then Office TPM. What is that? Application of TPM techniques in administration to improve productivity and efficiency functions. Just because you focus on the machinery or protection facility, that is not sufficient. You need to have a preventive maintenance in your office or administrative functions also. It's also very important. Okay, so that will help you to achieve more efficiency even in administrative activities. Generally, it is done by automating the office procedures. Then you have safety, health, and environment. Safety of worker is utmost importance. It aims to have zero accidents and zero health damages. That is what TPM looks for. There should not be any accident, any defects, and any breakdown. Okay, so you need to have a proper education, drama, safety slogans, quizzes, posters making to create awareness relating to safety. Okay, so these are the 8 pillars of TPM. You need to learn this by heart. There is no other way. Sometimes they may ask in a question, like a case study, they may ask on TPM. You will have to write about the 8 pillars of TPM. So you will have to write this. Okay, now next, the concept of OEE. You can write the heading. Performance measures in TPM, or it is also known as OEE. Okay. Now before moving to that, let's take a small break. 15 minutes. Okay.